welcome to the latest episode of Campaign Middle East on the Record podcast, where we speak to leaders across the region about the key trends and challenges facing the brand and marketing industry. I'm Anup Oman, the editor of Campaign Middle East, and joining me today is Tarek Daouk, the CEO of dentsu MENAT, Middle East, North Africa, and Turkey, and Merkle SEMENAT. Tarek, thank you for joining us on the show today.
Sure, it's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you.
Now that I have you
Mm,
on the hot seat, it's a perfect time to pick your brains. You've been at Dentsu for about 7 years
mm.
and more counting now. During this time, at least off late, what are some of the exciting developments that you've seen within the brand and marketing industry, and how does that reflect into what you're doing at Dentsu, what you've achieved at Dentsu, and the vision that you have at Dentsu?
Sure. Oh man, 7 years feel like much longer than this. It's actually been an amazing journey of changes both inside the company, but most importantly outside in the industry. And it's been driven by two factors. One is COVID, and you can imagine the impact of everything, and I'll speak a
Mm,
little bit about it. But I think now we're going into one of the most exciting transformation in this industry ever,
right.
like ever,
Mm,
right? I think there hasn't been any better time to be in advertising than now. If you want to choose a career, go now in MarTech, advertising, anything of it, right? And this is driven because we moved from an era in the past few years where everything in marketing was about precision.
mm,
So in Precision, we were celebrating platforms, we were celebrating how we can get to people. And now we're entering an era that is algorithmic.
mm,
And this era has created this fantastic friction between creativity and tech, right? And this friction is leading to a lot of thinking about what our value our businesses create for clients or for marketeers. But it also moved marketeers thinking. We do like a global survey with CMOs
right.
every year, and the last one shows that 89% of CMOs still believe that creativity is the single biggest drivers of business growth, right?
Absolutely.
Because of all the transformation in technology. So this is like the most fascinating time to
Mm,
be in it. And the second biggest transformation that happened after COVID is the level and the scale and the magnitude of adoption,
right.
right? So in 2 years, the world changed.
Mm,
And you can see this across commerce, entertainment, habits, delivery, everything. The pickup that people had is just unbelievable. Now, I mean, what? LLMs have been there for how long? Couple of
couple of
years,
years now,
right?
yeah. Two and a half,
And
yeah.
the top five of them, they have 5 billion visits in 2 years. We're expecting visits to LLMs to be as big as the traditional search engine.
Right.
So just imagine what this meant for us as a company, and the way I led the transformation of the company is to break down the silos,
Mm,
right? Break down the silos because the focus is now how do you deliver value beyond what exactly you do and what your colleague does. This allows us to put a solution to a problem
mm,
whenever we can put a solution to our problem. Being part of a bigger team and other partners that can deliver a solution for us. So I started on like a turnaround assignment in 2018. COVID hit, and then all this transformation happened. And the way we brought the company together, focused on solutions that we can solve, proved that business will respond to this.
wonderful. I think there's a lot to peel from that answer, and I'm going to try my
Yeah.
best to take different
Uh,
aspects of it out. Um, we've seen buzzwords ever since COVID. We're taking a
yeah.
step back. There was this whole drive towards digital transformation. Then there was this drive towards innovation, whatever the latest tech brought about. And like you mentioned, 2.5 years ago, LLMs became the big fad. Yeah, that, I mean, in a way, it's nice to see it rotated creativity back to the core of marketing,
Yeah.
like you rightly said. But there is still, like you mentioned again, this conversation that keeps coming back about balance, right? Do we need the balance? Do we have we attained the balance between, say, for example, creativity and tech, the balance between brand and performance? Are we driving outcomes, or are we just driving awards, for example, right? How is this reflecting in brand and business outcomes for client and for agency? Do you feel that there is a need for better balance in each of these things, even this concept of, you know, doing campaigns for the social good that we were talking about slightly earlier? Is there a need for better balance in all of these things, or is it too idealistic to expect a balance and say that we are currently focusing on breaking silos, we are currently focusing on precision and performance, and we are currently focusing on outcomes, and creativity is just a driver, and LLMs and AI and tech is just a driver for that? Or can we achieve a balance that everybody is happy?
I think more than balance, we need fusion,
Oh,
because
that's a
this
nice way to put it.
this this friction is amazing.
Hmm.
This is the best thing that can happen to our craft, to our work, right? The reality is we don't know the extent and the magnitude of the change that this technology is bringing to us. We don't know. We're still at the top of the iceberg,
Right.
right? And we have two camps. We have the tech camp saying, "Don't worry, just give it to me. I can do everything for you. I can solve all your business problems in the cheapest way. It happens overnight. You don't have to think about it." Okay. Then you have the creative camp saying, "Hold on, listen. LLMs are great in giving you some work, but they cannot figure out culture or human
Yeah.
intuition. We don't know yet,
Hmm.
right? So we can either say, okay, let them be separate,
Hmm.
right? Let creatives do what creatives are good at, and let technology handle only optimization, workflow management, and everything else, and we'll see what happens in the future. But what happens if the creatives lean in,
Hmm.
right? Because now the most of the LLMs are trained on data.
Hmm.
Right? Majority are trained on public data.
Hmm.
What if we can bring in the craft knowledge and intuition to what technology can learn, right? And what if technology becomes a thought partner?
Hmm.
So it becomes a team member,
Right.
a thought partner where you can exchange it, right? So this friction, I think, it's at the early stage. It's like any big change in society, like right, that happens. But when we start fusing them, is when we start seeing magic. Now the reality is data can get you to the door,
Right.
but only strong creativity that is culturally
Attuned.
sensitive, deep, can get you inside the house. And we can see how people are fascinated by stories. Some of our data on sport globally, for example, is we see the increase in fandom, number
Hmm.
of fans following athletes,
Hmm.
growing much faster than the live viewership
Right.
of sport. And that's fascinating,
Hmm.
which means people are interested in the sport, but they're interested in the human
Aspect.
story behind it. Right? This is what fascinates them. And when it comes to culture, now our creatives are the closest to it,
Hmm.
right? And the culture used to be like a big bowl where you put everything, right? Where
Hmm.
you say all women of that age like this.
Yeah.
But now we're seeing a lot of nuances. We're seeing nuances between Riyadh and Cairo,
Hmm.
between Amman and Dubai, Abu Dhabi and Kuwait. And these nuances are now understood by our creative team.
Hmm.
But when you fuse this creative team with a thought partner that is based on technology, that is the LLM, then you see the magic happens. Overall, emotions and communication have a deep impact on the business, and we see around 4 to 4.5x in attention increase for an ad that is based on deep emotion versus an ad that is based on superficial interaction with an insight. It's not bad, but the magnitude of change is very big. For us as a company is about getting our creative team and our tech team into a culture of duality. So we celebrate
Right.
both.
Hmm.
Because otherwise you will be celebrating the new and the shiny,
Hmm.
right? Versus celebrating the craft. We celebrate both, but we get both to work on it. We want the technology to be trained on our knowledge and our intuition.
I like that expression of duality, getting that duality right, fusing craft and tech
Yeah.
together. This also echoes a lot of conversations that happened at Cannes recently, and I
Yeah.
mean, um, the next edition of our magazine in July is going to be focusing on all the takeaways from Cannes. But one of the key things, and I want to pick on what you said, is that aspect of understanding that technology gives us insights, right? Analytics on insights gives us data that we can action on, but that action is also human driven. It's understanding that our creatives understand cultural nuances. It understanding that we understand hyperlocal communities. Understanding that, I mean, this is a, a learning that we took from local to global as well, is that we don't take a global campaign and then Google translate it. We
Yeah,
don't talk about, like you were mentioning, generic demographics anymore. It's understanding hyperlocal communities. All Arabic isn't Arabic, right?
true.
You have multiple dialects, you have multiple
Yeah,
upbringings, you have multiple, you know, shows that people watched, and things that they like and they dislike. There's a difference between generations now, and what preferences are. Purchase intent is different. So we've gone to like brand lift studies that you've shown that we need to look at various different metrics now and how we define what success means. And it's looking at what tech drives that insight, but humans drive that emotion, that empathy that brings with it. And that brings us to an interesting conversation about differentiation right now,
yeah.
because you have a lot of people, like you rightly said, throwing a lot of my solution is the best solution, right? And in a market where you've got the big six holdcos, you've got multiple people leaving those holdcos and joining, starting boutiques of their own. Got so many independents in the market. The market's already crowded. It's already competitive. The margins are already low, and everybody knows this at the moment. What's key right now is differentiation. And I want to touch upon that. How do we differentiate ourselves in the market to drive long term value, not just for ourselves, but for clients as well, without having to, like you said, just jump on the latest shiny object that's available in the market?
Look, I think the best thing that happened to the creative industry is that it became much more competitive,
Hmm.
right? Because competition forces everyone to relook at everything
It's a
that
reality
we are.
check that we need.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
It is absolutely fantastic.
Hmm.
But it also forces the what do you call it, the newcomer, the challenger
Hmm.
brand, to look at what makes them sustainable over
A long
time,
time. Yeah.
right? So for some time there is this duality, us versus them.
Hmm.
Is it us, the locals, or the
Hmm.
global, right?
Hmm.
So this duality is tested. Now the reality is, with all the changes, with the magnitude of change happening, no one is 100% clear about what is going to be a winner
Hmm.
in the next 5, 6, 7 years, right?
We have to just test, learn,
W-
scale. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So now is about two things. Is
Hmm.
about being nimble enough
Hmm.
to be able to take different parts of your services and put them in a solution. This is
Hmm.
not about organizational silo, because organizational silos are easy. You
Right.
take a decision and
Hmm.
then you work on change management and you
Hmm.
get people, right? But how do you train people to take bits of solutions from everywhere and put them and say, okay, this is the solution that tackles this specific problem for them?
Hmm.
When I talk to my team, I always tell them, we don't want to win an account. We want to win trust,
Right.
right? Accounts are fantastic. It helps us with our business, hits our P&L. But I want a relationship that generates business for me and for my client for years to come.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we'll be running after
Yes. You'll be
after
running
us.
on procurement, not on retention.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, no. And also there is, I mean, we'll discuss this a little bit. There is this notion of us versus the world,
Hmm.
right? So us in this room, we know much better about everyone in this room than anyone else in the world. But then what happens after a year and after 2 years?
They
Then what?
might learn more about our market than we know about
Yeah.
ourselves.
And what do you do with your learning,
Hmm.
right? Your learning are based on cultural insight.
Hmm.
Fantastic. You're better than someone who doesn't
Hmm.
understand the culture. After 2 years, what do you do?
Yeah.
After 3 years, what do you do? So this fusion of local and global is fantastic. And this part of the world, there is no other part of the world better than here. Because what other society has this combination of
Yes.
talent that they have? But this change is amazing, and the ability to do this, making decisions right now on investment and saying, this is it. Now I have this piece of data, no one has it, and this is going to differentiate me forever. That's not
That's very
reality.
cool, because I want to build on that test learn scale model as well. one of the questions that I thought I must ask you when we get on
Mm,
this podcast is around the education piece,
sure.
right? What we're leaving for the next generation of leaders that's coming up. And there is a conversation that's happening around the fact that is are leaning into tech and this fusion creating a dependency of sorts in tech. There are these conversations that when we grew up with, Google, understanding and everything was available,
Yeah.
information's there, but now you're getting definitive answers that people are asking on ChatGPT. People seem and sound smart, but do they really have the knowledge and the experience it requires to lead a team, to lead a company, to lead an agency, to lead client side? And there are these conversations happening about how we can grow. I mean, there are very few people who are still able to hold a conversation on, who've watched Mad Men, for example,
Yeah.
back in the day, people who've read the Red Book, people who've
Yeah.
understand the long and the short. And now it's about, okay, what's the problem? Let's ask ChatGPT, let's figure it out, whether it's on a creative side, the insight side, let's look at our dashboards, let's ask our data strategists what they have to say about it. Is there a piece lacking within leadership? And for a leader who's been there 7 years, you've been through it all, you've seen the traditional side of it, you've seen the digital transformation side of it, and now you are experienced and leading in the new age bit of it. What's the piece of advice you'd give to the leaders of tomorrow?
Good. Look, first, I have to say I have a lot of confidence in the management layers and the leadership layers in my company and in general in the industry. And many of them I know, they're friends, ex-colleagues. Actually, the industry has been through some of the most successful and widespread succession in versus any other country. If you look at most of the agencies, my agency and the other agencies in the past 6 to 7 years, it's unbelievable how this happened, right? And the business is still successful, and the pipeline is strong,
Strong.
right? Now, what changed versus, let's say, 20, 25 years ago is it's impossible for any leader now to know everything,
Mm.
right? It was always difficult, I
Yeah.
get it, right? But the choices and the decisions were more consolidated and simpler before. So one thing that I learned in my journey is how to choose my team very, very smartly,
Based on comprehension skills and the likes.
based on what they know better than me, right? Based on what they know better than each other,
Mm.
right? And based on how they come up in not only in good time, but most importantly in tough time, right? I told you I started my journey in dentsu last of 2018, so 2019 was here. I was fortunate to convince very smart people to join my team. COVID hit in 2020, so 1 year after my assignment, right? And you can imagine the impact that COVID had, and then all the changes that happened after COVID. But the wisest decision, I think now looking back at it, I made that had the impact on the results right now is which people I convinced to join me or stay with me in 2019. Now, for new leaders, this magnitude is even bigger
Mm.
because now the knowledge is so fragmented
Right.
and you need to surround yourself with good people.
But this
Uh,
goes back to that silo conversation again. That means that it's not enough for just finance, sales, procurement, data, tech, product to work together.
yeah,
Now, with extremely fragmented, super specialized roles where you're hiring smart people for very
yeah,
specific roles, it's all the more reason important for them to collaborate, come together, and manage your internal stakeholder buy-ins as much as external stakeholder
absolutely.
buy-ins.
Absolutely. So now we're in a friction phase,
Mm.
right? We're in a friction phase of like a massive change in life, in technology, in society, in our business, because probably our business is one of the earliest industry that is impacted by this change. So this phase creates friction.
Mm.
But through this friction, you will see a lot of experimentation. And those who succeed are those who start the experimentation early to fuse them. Versus saying, let's find, sorry, I don't mean to pick on your word, let's find the balance. Balance
Yeah.
means let's do a little bit of this and a little bit of that and not too much tech.
Mm.
And it's true, maybe some companies and our industry lean too much on tech, or resisted tech too much, or claim that they have proprietary things.
But
So now we're in this friction phase, right? In this friction phase, there will be experimentation. And you will find in this, like early adopters,
mm,
some people who will
very
lag and
and
some people who will
laggards.
never make it, right? But the fusion will get new leaders who are able to connect these dots.
I feel like we can keep talking for hours together,
Mm,
Tarek. We should meet after this as well. But before we conclude, any
yeah.
parting message to your fellow marketers, your fellow agency leaders, people that you work with?
I mean, look, we're fortunate. We live in a region that is itself going into like a massive transformation, and this is why it's creating so much excitement, right? In Saudi Arabia, in the UAE, in Egypt, in Kuwait, everywhere we go, in Morocco, in Turkey, everywhere we go, right? But also, this region has such a strong culture and heritage in storytelling,
Mm,
right? And now is the time to get our solutions where we can build businesses around cultures. Okay? These cultures in sport, in entertainment, in advertising, and being proud about these cultures. I mean, we've done some amazing work in advertising and overall in entertainment. And this friction between us and the world shouldn't stay for long. We should be part of the what the world is going on, and participate in all the changes that are happening globally. I've seen some massive leaders from the region building fantastic careers in the region, right? But imagine when we give opportunities to leaders from the region to go globally
mm,
and do some really great work in different parts of the world. So it's about us contributing to what the world is doing and taking from the world what the world is giving in technology, in culture. So being close to culture and understanding technology as a like very strong enabler. I know this is a cliche, but that's what we
yeah,
want it to be. But this is what we're seeing right now,
mm, yeah,
right? What will happen with the advancement in this is yet to be seen. We need our culture to be part of it.
mm,
Otherwise, we're leaving technology to be trained
yeah.
by data on the web, and our culture is sitting
Sitting
outside,
inside.
and then we complain that technology is not doesn't understand our
Understand
culture.
us. Yeah. I like that. I think the two key takeaways for me is fusion and friction. I think friction is good and fusion
Yeah,
is necessary. Thank you, Tarek. And with
pleasure.
that, we wrap up on this discussion of Campaign Middle East on the Record podcast. Once again, Tarek, wonderful having you here.
Thank you, thank you for campaign, thank you, and thank you for everything you're doing. It was a pleasure
It
having this
really
chat with you.
is.
Thank
It
you.
really is. And we should dive more deeper into storytelling from the region,
Yep.
that heritage of storytelling that we have. Stay tuned for future podcasts and future conversations like this. Until then, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more such discussions with leaders in the industry. And that's a wrap. Thank you. And until next time, goodbye.